Well, moving on, anti-migrant protests have flared again in the United Kingdom. Demonstrators gathered outside a hotel in Epping, east of London, that is housing asylum seekers.
I'm scared that our country is going. We're being invaded. There's 100,000 plus people who've come by small boats.
6:42 p.m. Birmingham. Over 115,000 protesters surround Keir Starmer's migrant hotels as Britain reaches boiling point. Flames rise above rooftops, sirens scream through the chaos, and the crowd shouts one word again and again: enough. Smoke swallows the skyline, glass shatters under boots, and somewhere a phone camera catches it all. One clip, one scream, one moment that shatters a government. Within minutes it spreads. A video barely 12 seconds long, showing an officer shouting, a woman bleeding, and a voice off camera yelling, "They called it safe!" The footage races through Telegram, X, TikTok, every feed alive with the same caption. Britain has had enough. Comment sections explode. Hashtags climb faster than the police can react. By 7 p.m, chaos moves like the weather. Southampton, Manchester, Leeds, Sheffield, London's suburbs. Every city flickers on screen, a red glow against the skyline. Hotel windows smashed, riot shields raised, smoke grenades rolling across the pavement. Reporters shout over the noise. Producers cut between live feeds and breaking headlines. In Southampton, crowds surge through Portswood Road. Flags wave, horns blare, chants echo off brick walls. Protect our women, save our kids. At the edge of the crowd, veterans in uniform stand shoulder to shoulder, their medals catching the streetlights. Mothers hold children close, eyes wide from the roar. It isn't a protest anymore, it's a reckoning. Police form lines, then break. Officers pull back, coughing through pepper spray, radios crackling for backup that never comes. Fire engines crawl through smoke. A single drone shot shows the city as a storm, streets pulsing with red and blue lights, the skyline shaking. By nightfall, the numbers swell. 115,000 across the country, some waving Union Jacks, others holding signs scrawled in anger. $8.2 million a day. 51,000 in hotels. Who's paying for failure? Every chant drives deeper than statistics. It's money, but it's pride too. Years of frustration finally exploding in one voice that no one can mute. Reporters in flak jackets go live from rooftops. One says, "The government is urging calm." Another replies, "No one is listening." Helicopters sweep the highways, but the crowds don't thin. They move like tide water, unplanned but unstoppable. Inside Downing Street, the lights burn past midnight. Ministers arrive through side doors, avoiding cameras. Aides whisper, passing folders marked "Urgent, South Coast." The Prime Minister hasn't appeared since the first fires. Aides brief journalists with the same line, "Contain disturbances," but the footage on every screen says otherwise. In the briefing room, tension hums through the walls. Intelligence officials warn of coordinated marches forming online. 12 cities on alert. 2 police regions out of manpower. The Home Secretary demands troop assistance. The Defence Minister shakes his head. Not yet. The silence after that sentence says everything. Someone leaks a memo within the hour. Operation Iron Gate. It outlines curfews, mobile blackouts, and travel restrictions for protest zones. The leak hits social media before the meeting even ends. Commentators call it censorship. The government calls it security. Neither side believes the other. Outside, the crowd chants louder. Flares burn orange against the night sky. Journalists describe the smell, smoke, sweat, and cheap beer like the scent of history breaking open. Every corner of Britain feels electric. It's no longer about one attack or one city. It's about trust collapsing in real time. In Leeds, protesters block the motorway. In Portsmouth, a bus burns on the bridge. In Sheffield, a police van tips onto its side, lights still flashing under shattered glass. Yet the narration stays calm, every word measured. "This is not a scene from abroad," the anchor says. "This is Britain tonight." Inside the government compound, aides scroll through live feeds in disbelief. Charts show crowd density. Every refresh grows darker red. Someone mutters, "We've lost the South." Another answers, "We're losing the North too." The phrase hangs heavy. A meeting reconvenes under fluorescent light. The Prime Minister's chair is empty. The Home Secretary argues that communication channels must stay open. Others warn that cutting the feed will only make it worse. One advisor whispers, "You can't manage what's already escaped." Phones vibrate again. Another leak. Another video. Another city rising. Meanwhile, outside Westminster, thousands gather by the gates. Journalists capture faces lit by phone screens streaming live footage from the protests. The chant returns, louder than before. No more silence. The air over London tastes like metal and fear. Helicopters circle the Thames. Police radios switch to encrypted channels. Inside the cabinet room, an aide reads a line from the latest intelligence brief. Public compliance eroding at 7% per hour. No one speaks after that. In one corner, a minister asks if the army has been contacted. Another answers quietly, "They won't act against civilians." Someone else mutters, "Then who will?" Outside number 10, the noise reaches through the windows. A bottle hits the gate. Flashbulbs burst. Reporters call it the loudest night since the riots of the 1980s. And yet the narration holds steady. Calm voice, rising panic underneath. "Britain is not witnessing protest," it says. "It's watching itself wake up." The clock hits 1 a.m. The crowds don't fade. The smoke doesn't clear. The footage keeps rolling. Somewhere behind those blacked-out windows, decisions are being made, but the streets have already answered. The breaking point isn't coming. It already happened. By dawn, the streets had taken command. Riot police stood shoulder to shoulder, but the line cracked within minutes. Shields shattered under a rain of bottles and bricks. The crowd surged forward, chanting, roaring, unstoppable. Smoke poured from alleys, sirens screamed, but the sound of human voices drowned everything else. It wasn't chaos anymore. It was something older, something primal, a nation remembering what it felt like to be heard. Helicopters circled above city centers. Cameras caught soldiers in fatigues moving through side streets, their presence framed as logistical support. But the sight of military trucks beside protest banners turned fear into fury. Commentators called it optics, protesters called it occupation. The contradiction fed the fire. Crowds shouted louder, phones lifted high, the lens now a weapon stronger than any riot shield. Local councils released short, empty statements, monitoring the situation, and then said nothing more. Their silence spoke louder than denial. News anchors hesitated mid-sentence, eyes flicking toward producers off-screen. In a moment no one expected, the BBC cut its live feed from Southampton. Viewers watching at home saw a gardening segment appear out of nowhere. That was the moment the blackout began. But the silence failed. Mirror uploads spread across Telegram and foreign networks faster than they could be removed. Live streams labelled offline reappeared seconds later under new titles. Proxy links, VPN mirrors, handheld footage from rooftops, by nightfall, 70 million views. Every frame carried the same heartbeat, flames, flags, defiance. Britain speaks. The phrase stamped itself across the internet, not as a slogan, but as a warning. In one clip, a line of officers stood shoulder to shoulder before a burning hotel. The crowd didn't charge. They stood still, hundreds deep, singing the anthem. Another clip showed a veteran placing his medal on the ground, whispering, "We served once, we serve again." The emotion spread like current. It wasn't rage now, it was awakening. Inside Downing Street, power flickered. The Prime Minister had not appeared publicly for more than a day. His silence grew heavier by the hour. Ministers came and went through side doors, faces pale, lips pressed tight. Aides whispered, phones vibrating on the table. One sentence echoed through the building. We've lost the streets. Leaks confirmed it hours later. Cabinet divisions spilled into the press. The Defense Secretary refused to authorize troop deployment against civilians. The Home Office blamed inadequate policing strategy. 2 junior ministers resigned before noon. Their letters hit social media before the official press release even left the printer. The headlines multiplied. Leadership in collapse. Authority in retreat. Power vacant. Public polls cratered. Approval ratings below 20%. Commentators compared the numbers to the darkest days of post-war government. The Prime Minister's office released a 2-line statement. The government remains united. The situation is under control. It convinced no one. Outside, veterans marched again. No banners, no chants, just medals glinting in daylight, footsteps synchronized like thunder rolling through empty streets. Police were ordered to disperse them, but many refused. Cameras caught officers lowering their helmets, saluting as the veterans passed. That image traveled farther than any speech. Within hours, the salute was everywhere. On billboards, profile pictures, flags, murals. The moment became legend before the day even ended. By the next morning, Britain woke to quiet streets and broken certainty. Smoke drifted over empty intersections. Shops reopened under shattered windows. No one spoke loudly. The protests had ended, but something deeper remained. In every corner of the country, people stared at their screens replaying the same clips. Riot lines breaking, crowds singing, medals shining under streetlights. The nation had changed overnight, and everyone knew it. The broadcast tone softened. The anchor's voice was calm, heavy with something close to reverence. "A country is watching itself wake up," he said. The footage rolled. London's skyline at dawn, smoke curling into pink clouds. The camera pulled back to reveal a city still standing, scarred but awake. The line was no longer silent. It was waiting. The silence of obedience had turned into the silence before a roar. From Birmingham to Brighton, people felt it. They weren't waiting for politicians anymore. They were waiting for themselves. In the final montage, Britain looked both broken and beautiful. Workers sweeping debris, veterans folding flags, children watching through windows. The narrator spoke over the images. Power isn't lost when leaders fall. It's lost when people forget who they are. And tonight, Britain remembered. Outside number 10, the last crowd dispersed under the dim glow of streetlights. No shouting now, no clashes, just quiet. But under that quiet ran something deeper than noise. A pulse of unity that no broadcast could mute. The outro voice returned, steady, deliberate, alive with purpose. From the streets of Southampton to the halls of Parliament, the message was clear. Britain was never broken, just unheard. And now, it's speaking again. A brief pause. Static hums through the speakers. Then the sign-off. If you stand for truth, stay with us. Subscribe now, because the next roar is already rising.